There's never a dull moment in the SEC, man. There's never a dull moment when it comes to college football as a whole. And you got that all yesterday. Indiana going to Eugene and shocking Oregon. That's one great example. You have Texas, backs against the wall, must-win game. They pull one out of their butt. It's bottom line, man. But we've had a lot to really kind of look over and really kind of just digest as we enter week 8 of the college football season. Guys, we're already just about halfway through the college football season. And trust me, it's not really what a lot of people expected. But again, 3 massive matchups this upcoming weekend, and matchups that are going to be defining for the college football playoff. A lot of matchups that could decide a lot in the SEC. Right now, guys, I don't think that there is a clear-cut contender in the SEC. Guys, I really don't. The reason why I say that is simply because you have no real legitimate contender. Texas A&M looks incredible. We'll get to them in a little bit. Can they avoid the collapse in the second half? Now, I think they can. This ain't your grandma's or your grandpa's Texas A&M, man. This ain't. That's the bottom line, man. Texas A&M is legit. But do I think that Texas A&M can be a contender for a college football playoff? Absolutely. We'll get to all that and more when we come back.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
All right, let's get into all of what we had around the SEC. Let's start off with arguably the game of the week. A lot of people were talking about Red River, Oklahoma going into this one as the favorites. And Texas pretty much shut the door on that in the second half. Very dominant second half. Much needed win for Texas. You got the ground game involved, and you got guys, your playmakers mostly, involved in the offense. Arch Manning, for the most part, pretty much played like a field general and played just good enough to help lead your team. But the player of that game was Trey Wisner. Trey Wisner put you in good position. And he pretty much set the tone for what was going to be the rest of the game. Put you in great field position, got big runs when it was needed, and got big receptions. Had over 100 and almost 130 yards of total offense by himself. 34 through the air on 5 catches, and then had 22 carries for 94 yards. So a pretty good day on the ground. But the biggest here, it was, to me, in my opinion, guys, it was a pretty sloppy game. But defensively, man, both defenses were pretty much stifling. Colin Simmons, breakout game. 2.5 sacks to go along with 5 tackles. Michael Taft, all over the field tonight. Nine tackles and a tackle and a sack. Malik Muhammad played like a freaking Jim Thorpe Award finalist. And I talked to a lot of Texas media personnel last year or during the offseason, and they were very high on Malik Muhammad. They thought he could very likely be a contender for the Jim Thorpe Award. And right now, I don't know if he's leading the pack right now, but he definitely could get up there. Most definitely could be up there. Punt return wise, Texas gets the big hit kick return for a touchdown, basically wins them the football game and kind of shuts the door on Oklahoma's chances. So massive win for Texas. Here's what the SEC standings look like right now. It's a 3-way tie between Oklahoma, or not Oklahoma anymore, Ole Miss, A&M, Texas, and Alabama. Hold on, let me show you the SEC standings. So there you go. That's your SEC standings as of now. You have a 3-way tie for second with Georgia, LSU, Tennessee, Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Vandy, all with 1 loss in SEC play. Florida and South Carolina, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Auburn, and then Kentucky all sit at the bottom with 2 or more. Right now, guys, the SEC is pretty much open for the taking from the top 8 teams on up. And we'll release our SEC power rankings later on tonight. Get ready for a shakeup, man. But I feel like I've been saying that every night. Because week after week after week, there is something new around the SEC that you don't expect. Something that we don't really think is going to happen. Ended up continuing to go, man. But I think overall, you have got to number one, find a rhythm. Let's go back to Texas and Oklahoma. On the side of Oklahoma, guys, why was John Mateer out in the game? Why was he playing? 17 days off of hand surgery. I get the kid wants to play, and I don't care what he did during rehab. You should have held him out for a game. You should have given Mike Hawkins a chance to go play. Now, I thought if Mike Hawkins had played better against Kent State, do I think they would have given him a chance in Red River? Yes. Because he didn't play that great, I think that's why they went with John Mateer, and that's why I think they rushed him back out there. Guys, you got to give him a chance. It's his first game with this new – it's his first game in-game competition with Ben Arbuckle as a full-time starter. I'm talking about Mike Hawkins. Why not give him a chance? Why not say to him, hey, man, here's the keys. You saw what John did. You've got weapons. Utilize them. Don't win the game. Let your playmakers make the plays for you and create the opportunities that you need to be better at this point in time. I think if you would have done that, you would have very likely kept yourself in the game and not have your worst offensive output that you've had all year. Oklahoma just did not look good. You had 258 yards of total offense. John Mateer had his worst game of the year. And I think you did not go to the run game as much. And I know you don't really have an answer right now. I understand that, but you have to get your playmakers involved. Deion Burks needs to have more than one carry in the backfield. Why are we putting John Mateer out on runs? 14 carries for 5 yards. His longest was 10. The only reason he has that is because he got sacked 5 times. Offensive line got their ass whipped. Texas O-line, for the most part, I thought didn't do horrible today. Arch only took 4 carries on the day. Had a 29-yard run that basically iced the game. Oklahoma, 3 turnovers, man. All of which would give Texas a short field. But you'd miss a field goal in the first quarter. They would have one where... Sorry, I got my dog in here with me. That would basically end a drive that could have led to 3 for Oklahoma to go up 9-3 going into the half. Then Texas comes out, first drive of the game. They go 14 plays, 75 yards, take off 7-11 off the clock, and they own the third quarter. Guys, Texas held the football in the third quarter for a total of 13 minutes and 26 seconds to Oklahoma's 107. That's incredible. They would, in that drive, convert a 3rd and 1. Trey Wisner runs for 2. 3rd and 8. Trey Wisner with a 13-yard catch. 3rd and 8. Touchdown to DeAndre Moore. You couldn't get off the – Oklahoma just could not get off the field to save their life. You give up – then the next drive, when you give up a field goal, you give up a 3rd and 7. You give up another 3rd and 7. Parker Livingstone on a 21-yard pass. Trey Wisner on a 19-yarder. You would give up a 3rd and 2 to Arch Manning. 3rd and 19. You'd finally be able to force them to only 3. Then you'd have an interception that would lead to a missed field goal. You'd have to go 3 and out. You'd basically go 3 and out at this point, and then Ryan Niblett burns you on special teams and ices the game for Texas. They turned it over. You had 5. Guys, you had 5. Oklahoma had 5 turnovers if we count the 2 turnover on downs. It's not going to win you a football game, man. Do I think Oklahoma is out of it at this point? No. No. They're not even close to being out of it. But right now, man, you got to evaluate your situation and really realize you should not be playing John Mateer right now. He's hurt. He's not 100%. You got to give Mike Hawkins Jr. a chance to run the offense. Trust the guys that you have right now. I understand Mike Hawkins is not John Mateer. I understand he's not what you'd expect out of a guy. But at least give him a chance. At least give him an opportunity to run the offense. It's what a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of coordinators need to be doing around the SEC. We'll get to that very, very shortly when we talk about LSU. But I do also want to put out our call-in link, man, because we want to take you guys' phone calls for those of y'all that are in the chat. 843-350-2534. 843-350-2534 is the number to call if you want to call into the show or if you want to be involved. We have our call-in link, our StreamYard link in the description or in the comments section as well. So overall, takeaway from Red River, Oklahoma should not have played John Mateer at all. That's the bottom line, guys. John Mateer should not have been on the field. It should have been Mike Hawkins, and Oklahoma's got to rebound this upcoming week. You get South Carolina. Oh, Jesus Christ. So, and they got to go up against another good pass rush, man. Guys, they got after LSU last week. See what happens this week. Alabama, Missouri. A game where SEC officiating was at its all-time best. Nothing better than good old SEC officials that just want to royally screw the SEC. Screw teams around college football. Ty Simpson, for the most part, I thought he played a pretty clean game. He went to a lot of checkdowns, man. A lot of checkdowns during that game. But right now, I think Alabama should be in the driver's seat for the SEC right now. We will see what happens the rest of the season. They got a big one that's coming up. Tennessee and company heading on out to Bryant-Denny. Can you avoid a potential spoiler, man? It's been a very close last 3 weeks for Bama. You've been in some very competitive ball games. And during this stretch, man, you've done really well offensively. I thought you've been able to get it to your playmakers. I thought you've been able to spread the football out. I thought you've been able to be effective in the red zone as well, something that we haven't seen Bama really do a whole lot over the last, especially last year, man. Just taking advantage of opportunities and trying to shut down mobile quarterbacks. I still thought you struggled, but you forced turnovers. You forced turnovers when it mattered most. You were able to turn those turnovers like you did against Vanderbilt last week, and you turned them into scores. You force a interception, you drive down the field, but special teams killed you. And you force an interception at the end of the game when Missouri's about to score. You force a 4-and-out because your special teams is alert, and you're able to shut them down. You're able to shut down a potential 4th down stop or a 4th down conversion that Missouri was trying to get near the end of the game, and you turned it into 6. You converted when it mattered most. That's ultimately what matters at the end of the day. Oh, by the way, our mascot's back. It's Gunner. Say, hey, Gunner. Hey, Gunner. I think Gunner is going to be our official mascot of the Voice of College Football. Hey, Mark, we got to have a mascot. The dog is it. I can't ride Gunner. All right. But I thought for the most part, offensively, you were able to get consistent. You were 3 for 3 on 4th down when it mattered most. Time of possession. Guys, let me tell you the last 3 games that Alabama has had in regards to time of possession. What do you want? Ow. Don't you bite. Sorry. Alabama against Georgia, 35 minutes to 24 minutes. Against Vandy last week, 37 minutes to 22 minutes. This week, 38 minutes to 21 minutes. This is what the drives look like for Alabama. They would have an 11-play, 78-yard drive, a 10-play, 67-yard drive, 6:05 off the clock, 4:48 off the clock, 9-play, 40-yard drive, 4:47 off the clock. And even on drives that ended in punts, guys, 4 plays for 9 yards. Took off 2 minutes off the clock. 4 plays, 22 yards. Almost 3 minutes off the clock. A drive that ended in a field goal. A 17-play, 66-yard drive. Took 9 minutes off the clock. A missed field goal that took 4 minutes off the clock. 3:46 off the clock. And then your last 2 drives were 3-and-outs. You took 23 seconds off the clock, and you took 37 seconds off the clock. Let me go let Gunner out so that he can go see his mama. Go see Mama.
Hey.
Hey, Mom. You took time of possession, and you took it into consideration, and you dominated from there on out. That's ultimately what you needed to do when it was all said and done. That's what Alabama has needed to do since the very beginning. Take your time when you are on offense, and you will have success. Are they throwing the football for a lot of yards like they did with Washington and what Ryan Grubb did there? Not really, but you know what you're doing? You're generating big plays. You're generating opportunities that you need to have success in. That's ultimately what this Ryan Grubb offense needs to be doing. And that's why I think Ty Simpson could be dangerously close to being a Heisman and Trophy front runner. Because there's a lot of risers this week. I think right now, according to the FanDuel Sportsbook, here's your top 5 right now. Julian Sand and Jeremiah Smith are plus 1,500 favorites to win it. So if we're counting outside of ties, Marcel Reed would be 5th. Julian Sand and Jeremiah Smith would be tied for 4th. Fernando Mendoza. Remember him? Remember what he did at Cal? Well, look at what he's doing right now at Indiana. Guys, Fernando Mendoza right now is probably top 3 quarterback in college football at this point in time. You know what he did against Oregon? Did pretty well. 215 yards and a touchdown. Got sacked once. Been one of the more efficient quarterbacks in all of college football. 71% completion percentage. And he's running the football. Not as much as he did last year whenever he was at Cal, but he's efficient when he's running. That's what ultimately matters. But it's Ty Simpson and Carson Beck. That's what the conversation is. That's where the Heisman talk is being held. It should be between the two of them. Do I think Carson Beck is playing at a level that warrants him a Heisman Trophy? I mean, 73% completion percentage, definitely nothing to snuff at, man. But if he has a season like he did 2 years ago, I mean, in an era where quarterback play this year, there's no real number 1 star at quarterback. There's not. Because I don't see a scenario where going into this year's draft, other than guys like Dante Moore, maybe Fernando Mendoza, there's no real star at the front of this quarterback class. There's many that you could say could end up being that way. You know, Dante Moore could definitely climb his way from where he is right now, and he could definitely make a name for himself. But I don't think a lot of people are really talking about what Dante Moore can do at a high level. Guys, he's only I think he's a redshirt sophomore, and this is his first full year as a starter. And we're already putting him at the top of a lot of draft board lists. Guys, I would strongly suggest you put him another year in this Will Stein offense. I like Will Stein. I think he's a really, really smart play caller who's been around a lot of great quarterbacks in his lifetime. My only concern, though, is that last year you obviously had what Dillon Gabriel did. You put up a lot of high numbers. But right now, Dillon Gabriel is sitting now as a backup, I think. Or no, he's starting right now for the Cleveland Browns, but he's not going to be the future of that program because he's just short. His measurables are not there. You are going to go into, from what you had 2 years ago with Bo Nix, turned out to be pretty good. But Bo Nix had been in college football for 5 years up to that point. He put up gaudy numbers, I'll say that. But Bo Nix was in other offenses before that. And so was Dillon Gabriel. Dante Moore is different at this point. Yes, he's had experience in the Chip Kelly offense, but he struggled because he didn't have weapons around him. I don't think right now Dante Moore should be at the top of the Heisman. I don't think he should be at the top of NFL draft boards because he doesn't have the experience there. Fernando Mendoza does. I think Mendoza at this point is your number one quarterback. But back to Ty Simpson, because this is what it's all about. Guys, Ty Simpson is playing at an incredible level. 1 interception in 6 games this year. That's incredible. He's played flawless football. He's played clean football, and he knows how to win. And he's playing like he knows how to win. He's done it the last 3 games. He's playing his best football right now. Has he gotten sacked a lot? You damn right he has. He's going up against pretty good pass rushes too. But he's standing in there. He's taking hits, but he's playing at an elite level. You got a lot to clean up on the offensive line, in my opinion, that Alabama does, because you're going to go up against some pretty good front fours in the next couple of weeks that you got to get ready for. You got to go get ready for Tennessee that can blitz, that can come up with a lot of different schemes that not a lot of people are going to be paying attention to. And Tim Banks, you damn better be ready for the different twists and stunts that they're going to put together with that front 7 that can get after any quarterback. Look at what they did last night with Taylor Green and the nobilicity that he has, if that's even a real thing. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on it. Georgia and Auburn. Guys, this one got crazy near the end of the game. Right now, guys, Jackson Arnold's not a good quarterback, and everybody knows it. He's not. But last night, Auburn's rushing defense that came into the game had struggled a decent bit throughout their first 3 games of SEC play, especially whenever you got to that gave up 64. That only allowed for Baylor to rush for 64, average 2.7 yards a carry, negative 0.1 yards a carry for Ball State. Gave up average 3.3 a game against South Alabama. Auburn's rush defense, for the most part, has been fairly dominant, except for when they played Texas A&M, when they gave up 207 yards. Guys, they went in last night, and they pretty much shut down that Georgia offense. Why did Chauncey Bowens, though, have only 4 carries? Is it running back caught by committee? Be honest with me, guys. Is it running back by committee in the Georgia offense? I don't get it. It makes no sense to me that you're not feeding Bowens the football a lot more than you really should. He had 4 carries for 5 yards, and he had a touchdown in the game. Josh McCray, 6 carries for 24 yards. You averaged 2.7 yards a carry. Gunnar Stockton had to go to the air, man. But I think you were effective through the air, and I think you got over a slow start in the first half. But you had 296 yards of total offense. The only reason why you were able to be efficient is because, let's just be honest, you got bailed out a couple times by the referees. You had a missed field goal. You turned a fumble that really should have been a touchdown for Georgia. Thanks. Thanks for watching. That was a stupid freaking comment. We're going to ban him, by the way. Later, buddy. Yeah, why are you going to come in and ask something and say something stupid like that? Anyways. You're not going to come in here and talk to me like that and think you can get away with it. All right, bro. All right, anyways. I thought that it was a stupid call by the referees. I thought the ball clearly crossed the plane. But apparently not, man. So they fumble the football. Kyron Jones recovers, and they're at the 1-yard line. But for some odd reason, Georgia's able to go the length of the field. They go almost 99 yards, and they kick a field goal to make it a 10-3 ball game. So they pretty much put themselves back in the ball game from that point forward. Georgia scores 20 unanswered after that. So that's where the ball game was won. Defensively, you did very well. I thought you got greedy on your own 46 instead of playing field position and pinning Auburn all the way back when they had almost zero momentum. You decided to go for it on fourth down. Wouldn't hurt you. But I think obviously we have to have a talk about Mike Bobo. We already had one talk about an assistant coach being let go. Had a lot of craziness going on in the coaching carousel world. But Chauncey Bowens finally punches it in. It's 10-10. You force a 3 and out. You'd get a field goal. You'd have another missed field goal. You go on a 16-play, 78-yard drive. You take off 8:45 off the clock, and you get a 10-yard Gunnar Stockton touchdown. You force a turnover on downs. Georgia wins the game. Guys, Georgia cannot play like that down the stretch, man. They played really, really bad. And guess what? You're going to have to play a really, really good team too. It's in Athens, but knowing how Ole Miss played last week, I don't expect this to be a very clean game. I don't. Let's talk about Washington State and Ole Miss. Guys, for the most part, Trinidad Shameless got held in check on the ground. 11 carries for 15 yards. It was Kewan Lacey's show, though. 24 carries, 142 yards. Washington State made this a ball game. And I thought defensively, Washington State bowed up. But you didn't take chances when it was needed. You don't kick for three, and you force a turnover on downs. Ole Miss had a lot of mistakes. These are the first 3 drives for Ole Miss. Turnover on downs, a missed field goal, and a fumble. Led to a touchdown, 7-0 Washington State. Washington State would miss a field goal, though. Would it cost them the game? Maybe. There's plenty of things that Washington State had that they could have used to win the game. Rough weekend for the SEC, man, but Ole Miss would go down the field. They make it 10-7 at the half. This was a sloppy game back and forth from both of these teams. You force a punt, and Washington State would fall 10 yards short of a first down. Well, 38 yards short of a touchdown to win the game, but you get what I mean. Guys, Ole Miss defensively, or really offensively, I thought was really, really bad going up against a Washington State team that's playing in a BS division at this point. That defensively gave up 59 to North Texas and gave up 59 to Washington. That was in a battle with Idaho at the beginning of the year, and Idaho's 2-4 and horrible in the Big Sky. That defensively, Washington State is one of the worst in the Pac-12 when they gave up 410 410 yards of total offense to North Texas. And North Texas just kept scoring, by the way. You talk about what Washington did when they put up almost 500 on them. So you made this a ball game. I thought defensively, offensively, really, you shot your own self in the foot. You have great drives, and then you can't convert when it matters most. So you got to have a talk about that next week when you get ready for Georgia. Trinidad Shameless held in check for the most part. So you're going to go up against the front seven at Georgia that's going to get after somebody's ass. They're going to get after what Ole Miss's rushing attack is going to look like. It's definitely going to be fun. Really, really excited to see that one. Texas A&M right now. Let's have a conversation about Texas A&M. Because Texas A&M is playing like they're the best team in the SEC. And guess what? They are the best team in the SEC. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you once again, like I've said for the last week, I was wrong about Texas A&M. And that's on me, But, part of me also understands that there is another half to the season. Part of me also understands that this year in the SEC, it's not as deep as you would have liked it to be. I think quarterback play for the most part is not that great. You've had a couple young budding stars. Marcel Reed is obviously one of those. Ty Simpson is one of those, obviously. But no real stars. Garrett Nussmeier has struggled. Arch Manning behind a really bad offensive line. And even him himself has struggled. John Mateer looked great. He's injured, though. He struggled last week. 3 interceptions. Lenore Sellers behind a really bad offensive line has struggled. Made some really bad decisions. But Texas A&M right now, I've yet to really see a whole lot of flaws from them. That's me being realistic. Texas A&M right now is playing like they are the best team in the SEC. And in my opinion, they are. And they absolutely deserve to be among the top in the SEC. They've earned it, man. Marcel Reed playing like a Heisman Trophy contender. You got weapons. Mario Craver playing out of his mind. Casey Concepcion looks like a Biletnikoff Award finalist to me. Defensively, Cassius Howell is a dog off the edge. Torian York, unit in the middle. Secondary, lock down. Offensive line is dominant too. Oh, by the way, did I mention that they have the stench of Kevin Sumlin and Jimbo Fisher out of College Station? Yeah, I'm all in on Texas A&M the rest of this year. I will not doubt Texas A&M for the remainder of this year. I have Texas A&M probably going to the college football playoff this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they win it all, or at least be the deepest one in the SEC. Alabama, we'll see what happens with them. But we've seen Alabama's flaws. It's very rare that we've seen most of Texas A&M's. It's hard to point out at the time when Texas A&M, especially on the defensive side of the ball, has shown their flaws. I think offensively they've shown that they can be inconsistent at times because they can't finish drives. They've cleaned it up the last 2 weeks. They're finishing drives. They're going to do that for the rest of this year, man. But we'll see what happens. One more thing I do want to address with you all. So I put this tweet out a couple hours ago, and you guys have just blown this thing up. Not specifically y'all, but South Carolina fans. That's the bottom line, man. And I put this out here because I feel like this is the truth. I said that Lonnie Teasley's firing was not a Beamer decision. This was a Booster and a Jeremiah Dante decision. The reason why I put that out there is because, number one, I feel like it wasn't a Beamer decision. He was forced to make this decision. I think Beamer would have drugged this out all the way into the end of the season. And then he probably would have fired Lonnie instead of firing him mid-season. It wasn't until boosters started knocking, and I got it from an I'm not going to name the source. But we've had guys that we know very well, that we are very familiar with, that I have friends that I talk to on a pretty regular basis. He says that he knows folks on staff. His hand is being forced by boosters, the board of trustees, and more to make a move. They're pissed. They should be. Now, then we got word that apparently Beamer called Jeremiah Dante at like 4 a.m. last night, which is stupid, informing him, hey, I'm going to fire my assistant coach. Really? 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 You really are going to inform your athletic director that? All right, man. You could have waited till the morning, but all right, man, whatever. I feel like that's childish of Beamer to do that. I understand you got to report to your boss about that, dude. But I feel like Jeremiah basically told him, no shoot. I'm not going to use the S word. But you know what I mean. No S. This should have happened a long time ago. If it weren't for the guys up top, like your boosters and your trustees, Lonnie Teasley would have still been on that roster. But because they forced their hand and because they said something about it, then Beamer had no choice but to say, all right, we got to fire him. But he would have waited till the end of the year. But he was pretty much forced to say, all right, we got to fire you now. So Sean Elliott will take over the offensive line. We'll discuss that a lot more this upcoming week. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Josh Mahler will be on with me on South Carolina Live. Thank you guys so much for hopping on Inside the Final Whistle. Again, as always, man, make sure you like, share, subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so that you are notified every time we go live here on SEC Live with the Voice of College Football. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay blessed. Don't stress. Y'all have a good rest of the week.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.